Good evening, everyone. I'm Robin Garrell, president of the CUNY Graduate Center, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's celebration of our alumni. This is my first time since joining the Graduate Center that we've had this gathering, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you. So one of the most gratifying aspects of serving as president of the Graduate Center is hearing about the success of our alumni and learning about how my faculty colleagues guided students in their journeys. Tonight, we'll be hearing about the careers of a diverse group of alumni whose fields span the humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences. Each of our honorees is carrying forward the mission of the Graduate Center, conducting research that addresses important issues and challenges, and through their teaching and mentorship, training, and supporting the careers of new generations of scholars. Collectively, their work sustains our commitment to generating knowledge that enhances the public good. Tonight, we're pleased to recognize two sets of award winners, our 2023 honorees and our 2020 honorees who weren't able to gather because of the pandemic. So we're glad that all of you have returned to the Graduate Center today so that we can reconnect and recognize your accomplishments. I want to extend our thanks to the alumni members of our Alumni Awards Selection Committee who devoted their time to choosing these impressive award winners. A very difficult task because we have so many alumni who are so very, very distinguished. I also want to thank the representatives of our academic programs who are here this evening to help honor their graduates and present the awards. And finally, I want to acknowledge our live stream audience who are joining us and celebrating remotely. So now I'll turn the program over to Senior Vice President and Provost Steve Everett.
Thank you, Robin. Good evening, and I want to also express my enthusiasm, as Robin did, to our great honorees tonight. I think probably no greater measure of student success is to see what you guys have done after you left the Graduate Center. That's something we all really relish in seeing your success. That's what we're here for. Tonight, we will start our presentation with the Alumni Achievement Award, which recognizes alumni of exceptional distinction who have made exemplary contributions in their field demonstrating outstanding dedication and accomplishment. Our first honoree is Dr. Peter Delfiette, an electrical engineer and a leader in the field of ultra-fast lasers, whose career has taken him to a major research institutions such as Bell Communications Research, to launching his own companies, and to academia. He currently serves as director of the Towns Laser Institute, Pegasus Professor and University Trustee Chair Professor of Optics, Electrical Engineering, and Physics at the University of Central Florida. A member of the National Academy of Engineering, he holds 45 U.S. patents and counts over 800 publications, conference proceedings, and invited presentations. His many awards include the National Science Foundation Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineering Award, the American Physical Society Edward A. Boucher Award, and the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering's Photonics Society's William Stifer Scientific Achievement Award. Additionally, he was a mentor to many young scholars and is a founding member in NSF's Scientists and Engineering's in the School program, which is a program to teach 8th graders about the benefits of science, engineering, and technology in society. We are tremendously proud to count Dr. Delfiette as one of our GC alums, and I am honored to present him with the Graduate Center's Alumni Achievement Award tonight. Peter.
Good evening, distinguished alumni, faculty, and family members. I'm deeply honored and humbled to receive one of the 2023 Alumni Awards from the Graduate Center of the City University of New York. And I'd like to give my deepest thanks to the Alumni Association for selecting me for this award. It's truly a humbling experience given the significant impact that many of the other recipients have had on society. So first, I'd like to share with you my thoughts about the outstanding experience that I had at the Graduate Center. But first, I'd like to provide my thanks and acknowledgement to some very special people that have helped me to get to where I am today. First, I'd like to acknowledge my PhD advisor, Professor Robert Alfano at the Institute for Ultrafast Spectroscopy and Lasers. But I'll return to this later. Additional acknowledgements go out to my professional colleagues at Bell Communications Research, my faculty colleagues at University of Central Florida, and my PhD students and postdocs that I've had the honor to advise and work with. We have worked together to create exciting technologies that impact the information-based society that we live in today. I'd also like to thank my family, my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, and my sisters for the unbreakably strong family support system that allowed me to pursue my undergraduate and PhD degrees, and who provided me with the guidance and were role models for what responsibility and a strong work ethic looks like that enabled me to succeed. Now, let me circle back to my grad school days at CUNY. I performed my PhD work at CCNY, and as many of you know, I got my bachelor's degree there as well. Professor Alfano, who was my advisor, and is one of the world's most foremost experts and early pioneers in ultrafast optical science and technology, and working under his supervision and under the supervision of my co-advisor, Roger Dorsonville, I had the opportunity to work with the world-class, one-of-a-kind ultrafast laser systems and detector technology. I was fortunate to be in this environment, and from my perspective, I had the world's best equipment around me and the world's best minds, that my success would only be limited by my imagination, and because of that, I was able to make significant advances in the area I was working in, and that enabled me to garner attention and many job offers from some of the key industrial laboratories in the world, such as Hughes Lab, IBM, Bell Labs, etc. From there, as they say, the rest is history. As I close, I'd like to make one last important acknowledgement, and that is to the New York City public school system. And that provided me an education from kindergarten through PhD. And it's because of the New York City public school system that I was able to be given the opportunity and honor to work where the boundaries of what is possible meet with that of the unlimited human imagination. Thank you so very much for this honor.
Thank you, Peter. I now turn the program over to Sebastian Poget, the Executive Officer of our Biochemistry PhD program, who will present the next Alumni Achievement Award. Sebastian?
Thank you, Steve, and welcome everybody. I'm very pleased to recognize a distinguished alumna of the biochemistry program, Linda Molkes. Dr. Molkes completed her PhD under the supervision of Dr. Harvey Ozer. At that time, dissertations were still published as a book, and I was able to take a look at it upstairs in the biochemistry office and see the great work she'd done as a PhD student on looking at the regulation of DNA synthesis and its role in the cell cycle. And from there, she went on to a very illustrious research career. She's a renowned expert in the area of DNA replication repair, as well as cancer cell biomarker and therapeutic target discovery. She's had a stellar scientific career advancing research in women's health with a particular focus on breast cancer and children's cancer neuroblastoma. She's best known for her discovery of a molecule, specifically a peptide, that can inhibit certain activities in cancerous cells. And recently she announced the successful launch of a clinical trial of a potentially cancer-stopping therapeutic developed by the City of Hope, and which is potentially going to help people with solid tumors. She currently serves as the MT and BA Ahmadiyya Professor in Molecular Oncology, Professor in Molecular Diagnostics and Experimental Therapeutics, as well as Dean for Translational Science and External Affairs at the City of Hope Research Institute in Los Angeles. She also serves on the external advisory boards of several major national cancer institute-designated cancer centers throughout the United States. In addition, she chairs the Oncology Study section of the Veterans Administration and serves on the Department of Defense Ovarian Cancer Integration Panel, and has chaired several National Cancer Institute study sections. So we are very proud to honor Linda Marquez and her life-saving research with this award.
Okay, so I get to talk to you. This is like, oh, look at this, I'm going to break it already. I can't believe I'm here. So it's been a heck of a journey. I only got 3 minutes. Somebody put a timer on it. My mother is Irish Catholic, so I really learned to talk. So I was the first person in my family ever to go to college, let alone get a PhD. My parents were working class New Yorkers, and they had 2 daughters. And my father used to say to us all the time, education is the way out. And he was so right. Both his daughters have doctoral degrees. So it has, you know, the plane ride here, I was like, what can I tell these people? I mean, it's been an incredible ride, a hard ride. You know, getting your PhD, as you all know, is not easy. Harvey Ozer was a phenomenal mentor. You know, he's a virologist who had this little blonde, you know, that was, I want to be a scientist, you know. And, but he always was so encouraging. And that was the whole thing about the City of University. It's a place, I love how you said it, it's a place to make dreams come true. I'm out in LA, we got Disney. City University is where it's happening. Okay. So my areas of interest are, it started DNA replication and repair. And it's been an incredible journey. I never dreamed I would become a cancer researcher and I would be living in LA because, you know, you can come from New York, where else are you gonna live, you know? But anyway, so I'm in LA. So, but anyway, I discovered in cancer cells, and it all turns out to be all cancer cells, there's a novel protein that's in cancer cells and not in normal cells. And I had no training to do the impossible. I mean, but City University and my training in biochemistry allowed me to make all the steps of taking something I observed on the lab bench and bring it all the way to the clinic. And the moment that meant so much was in September 8th of 2022. The first patient was dosed with my new drug. And now I want to say one more thing, because you never know where your inspiration is going to come from. I had inspiration here. But you know what you all do here is you equip people to make magic happen. And about 16 years ago, a family came to me. They had lost their 9-year-old daughter to the disease neuroblastoma. And they were not rich. And they gave me a check for $25,000. And I wanted to do something in the name of that little girl. The drug's name is AOH 1996. And it stands for Anna Olivia Healy. And her birth year was 1996. I want to thank you for this award. You make dreams happen. And you never know where you're going to end up. You could wind up living with Disney, all right? But I want to thank you all and thank this place. I also have 180 horses on top of it, but we'll go, and that's another story. But anyway, I want to thank you for this wonderful award, and thank you, Graduate Center of CUNY.
Wow. Thank you for that wonderful inspirational story. To present our next award, I would like to welcome Distinguished Professor Michelle Fine.
Thank you, Steve. Sophia, where are you? I'm right here. Oh, I'm so glad I can see you and speak to you. So I am not Jeff Moskovsky. No. I'm not as funny as he is, and I'm not as well-dressed as he is, but he sends his love to you. He could not be here tonight, and he gave me the great honor of recognizing your award and my dear friend Donna's. So I have the honor of presenting our next Alumni Award to Dr. Sophia Petridoukatis. Close? Close. Not bad. Sophia is an anthropologist whose research focuses on animal bones from archaeological sites or zooarchaeology. This work is particularly critical as it focuses on the interactions between people and the environment through time and the response of both to big climatic events. She's worked in northern Norway and Iceland, concentrating on the transition from the Viking Age 1200, Viking Age to medieval times, and how the early commercialization of cod fisheries circa 1200 affected the people and economy of the area. Since 2005, you have been focusing on the island of Barbuda in the Caribbean, where Sophia explores how heritage work can inform sustainability questions for the future. Sophia currently serves as the Happold Professor of Anthropology, Director of the School of Global Integrative Studies, a school where she led the creation to help examine the intersection of anthropology, geography, and global studies. With a deep commitment to interdisciplinarity and doing work that matters, it's a joy to meet you through this introduction, Sophia, and we are delighted to recognize Dr. Petridoukatis' critical research with this award. Sophia, come. Yeah. I love your work. Here. Thank you. Are we good? You want her?
Thank you. Dear family, friends, colleagues, fellow alumni, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive the Graduate Center Alumni Achievement Award. Due to everything that the fellow alumni have already mentioned about the magic of the Graduate Center. And thank you all so much for being here to share in this occasion. I'm so honored to have my work recognized in this way by my alma mater. Thank you, GC. Many years went into discovering my scientific voice and working in Barbuda in creating science of relevance for an empowered community. My latest edited work, Barbuda Changing Times, Changing Tides, is part of the extensive scholarship and transdisciplinary collaboration that is aimed at working with marginalized communities that find themselves doubly affected by climate change and unsavory capitalist ventures that follow disasters. It means so much to me that the work I'm so passionate about also resonates with others, and the core of what made this possible are my experiences and interactions with the Graduate Center community of academics, staff, and students. This accomplishment is not something that I did alone, and there are many others who deserve to share in this award. I would like to thank my recommenders, Bruce Ripeto, Tom Riley, Mark Button, Ray Hames, Jim Kohler, and Susan Traub. In talking with them, they underscored the importance of being a nominator, and I hope that all of us today that are being honored think about our colleagues, which we also in the future can nominate. And I thank my nominators dearly for this honor. Thank you to my unit coordinator at UNL, Kat Kurutat-Bickert, who keeps me sane and the ball rolling, and my colleagues, Luann Wansnyder, Bill Belcher, Heather Richards-Rizetto, and Ambira Ibrahim-Patrick, for understanding the vision. I also would like to thank Jim Cronin for shepherding this process and all the hard work along with Tara in organizing this wonderful event and bringing us here together today. Dr. Fine, for taking the time to prepare this introduction, and as someone who has been very inspiring to me and I hold great admiration for, so it was great that I got to meet her. Dr. Jane Snyder, the EO at GC in anthropology at the time that I started my PhD. Dr. Louise Lenehan, the EO when I was invited for one semester in anthropology here at GC as visiting assistant professor. Dr. Aji Henderson for supporting the vision and being such a powerful role model for my work as founding director of the GC-based Human Ecodynamics Research Center and the work in Barbuda more specifically. Dr. Edith Gonzalez for being my research partner in crime since Ed Koch, so we're not going to mention any years, was mayor of New York City. Dr. Matthew Gold for his leadership in malls and for supporting the Sustainability Science and Education Masters that I had the pleasure of leading. Assistant program officers Ellen DeRiso in anthropology and Kathy Koutsis in malls, as none of these would have moved forward without them. The team at the registrar's office, led by Associate Registrar Diane Forst, along with John and Carmen, for being my mentors in the inner workings of the Graduate Center and for helping me see all the components of what academia entails during my time as a work study there. Tanya Domi for disseminating the work that I do and making sure it did not end up as a well-kept secret. I also wanted to thank all my collaborators and friends, students and colleagues over the years from the Graduate Center, UNL, New York, Norway, Iceland, and Barbuda, who worked on projects with me. The support is not always academic. It has been financial, emotional, sharing expertise, and just simply being there to pave the road that sometimes feels like it is always under construction. I would also like to thank my family, Oystein, Redden, and Ellen, along with the amazing people that became my family in Norway when I worked on my PhD, Ingrid, Tuna, Jarle, Anna, Martin, and Sindra, and my Barbudan family in this current work for over 20 years now, Reg Murphy, Louise, Dwight, Calvin, and Chevel. Last but not least, thank you to the Graduate Center President, Dr. Robin Garrow, and her team for offering recognition to alumni like me. I hope that this recognition of my work can serve as an inspiration to others in the field. As a first gen, a mother, a working student, and an academic, thank you to all at the Graduate Center that helped me discover my academic voice, and thank you to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, my current academic home, for allowing my GC identity and my research, ideas, leadership, and entrepreneurship to take flight. I am humbled and appreciative in receiving this award in recognition that research is a team sport, and I'm accepting this on behalf of all the people and places I have mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now for our final Alumni Achievement Award, I would like to bring to the stage Emeritus Professor Peter Simpson of the Philosophy PhD program. Peter?
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here to present the Alumni Achievement Award to my distinguished colleague, Dr. Robert Talise, who was a graduate student of mine many years ago. Dr. Talise's scholarship is especially relevant as it focuses on democratic theory with an emphasis on political disagreement and the moral demands of citizenship. He's the author of over 100 academic articles and 15 books, including, and these are interesting titles, Overdoing Democracy, Why We Must Put Politics in Its Place, and Sustaining Democracy, What We Owe to the Other Side. He is currently writing a book about the civic value of solitude, which will be published by Oxford University Press in 2024. Looking over these titles, I was intrigued by the sort of progress that one sees. Overdoing democracy, why we must put politics in its place. Well, fair enough. What we owe to the other side. So not just putting democracy in its place, but the other people who may not be Democrats. And finally, solitude. Is this an indication that Professor Talise is preparing, having tried to improve political life in this country and finding it slipping away, is preparing a rural retreat for himself somewhere? Just a few reflections. He's published essays and articles on democracy and politics in the Chicago Sun-Times, The Conversation, the Institute of Arts and Ideas magazine, and other news outlets. He currently serves as the W. Alton Jones Professor of Philosophy at Vanderbilt University. We are delighted to recognize Dr. Talise's urgent scholarship with this reward. Dr. Talise.
Thanks, Peter, and thank you for attending this event. I'm really honored. I can be brief because the people who've spoken earlier sort of captured well my fondness for the Graduate Center and for the City University system. I'm kind of astonished to be here. I was a kid who grew up in New Jersey, who didn't want to go to college. My parents had to bribe me to apply to colleges. I went to a small commuter college in New Jersey and somehow wound up with a PhD from a very distinguished philosophy program. I'll say one or two quick things. Again, I'll be brief. The 6 years I was at the Graduate Center actually had 3 different homes. I started when it was in the building next to the Grace Building across from Bryant Park. Then for a little while it was in swing space that was a block or 2 north. And then I think this is right, I defended my dissertation in this building. And it might have been right after they moved. And one of the things that I remember, and since I'm a philosopher, I'll say I puzzle over, is that with all of that transition and impermanence and in a way, chaos about nothing being settled in the time I was a graduate student, it's often occurred to me that it's very odd that somehow I thrived amidst all of that impermanence. I'm not sure what to make of it, except to say that, that the faculty offices were constantly shifting, that the faculty weren't at home in the buildings, all the rest. I think it sort of, in an indirect way, just taught me some important academic skills about, not sweating the small stuff, keeping yourself focused on the research, not, getting knocked off course by the fact that next year you're going to be in a different place, all the rest, which has served me well. I think it also, and I'll end here, sort of helped make manifest to me the importance of a kind of intellectual diversity. One of the things in my time as a student, a PhD student at the Graduate Center, was that there are lots of really distinguished faculty at my disposal who were doing all kinds of different things in philosophy and had all kinds of different positions. So when it came time to form my dissertation committee, I had a core of 3 faculty I worked well with. Professor Simpson was my director, but then I also had on my committee Steve Kahn and Virginia Held. And that trio of philosophers, I'll just tell you in case you don't recognize this, it's sort of hard, it would be very hard to find 3 philosophers who disagree more about things. And as it turns out, Peter and I, we were joking before we walked into the room, Peter and I were joking that it'd be hard to imagine a student and a professor who disagree about more things than Peter and I. And it really helped my work in all kinds of ways to navigate those disagreements, to learn how to work within them, to satisfy people who were calling for different things. And in that sense, I think I owe to CUNY in this indirect way, this unplanned way, in addition to learning all the philosophy and getting trained to be a good academic, and despite the fact that nobody in my family has been an academic, is an academic, I also learned these sort of indirect skills about how to navigate academic life almost by osmosis, and I really cherish that and very much appreciate it, and a big fan of the CUNY system. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to hear these stories. So our next category is the recognition of our Gold Awards, or graduates of the last decade. These alumni have made significant contributions early in their careers and are promising emergent scholars from a variety of fields. To present the first Gold Award, it's my pleasure to call on Dr. Ofelia Garcia, Professor Emerita in the PhD programs of Latin American, Iberian, and Latino cultures and urban education.
Muchas gracias. I am really honored to present the graduate of the last decade to Dr. Nelson Flores, one of my many amazing doctoral students that I had the privilege to mentor during my years at the Graduate Center. Nelson, can you come up? Nelson, your scholarship has forever changed the field of educational linguistics and has taught us to see racialized bilinguals in a new light, one rooted in the strength of their community practices. With your concept of racial linguistic ideologies, you have shown us how language and race intersect and have shaped educational policies and practices all over the world. And by insisting that the language education field pay attention not just to minoritized speakers, but especially to the responsibility of listeners with institutional power, those you call white listening subjects, you have not only transformed the field, but you have charged all of us with the obligation to listen, care, and see beyond our own worlds and epistemologies, encompassing the ways of making meaning of all. The recognition of your work has gone beyond the traditional academic roots of important peer-reviewed journals, having been featured by NPR, Education Week, the LA Times, and others, and has pushed the boundaries of the academy, placing your work squarely in racialized communities and schools. In your short academic career, now as associate professor in educational linguistics in the department in the Graduate School of Education at the University of Pennsylvania, you have been honored often. And today, we are thrilled to recognize the great impact of your research, scholarship, and community work with this Gold Award. Muchas felicidades.
Okay. Well, so thank you for that. And thank you for that introduction. So one day, I was having a conversation with my now husband, Luis Ramirez, who's recording up here, about a question that I had based on my own personal experience as a US-born Latino and then an ESL teacher in the Bronx. How is it possible for people to be bilingual in English and Spanish and be framed by schools and the broader society as not being proficient in any language? I mentioned at the time considering doctoral work to maybe study these issues, but I had doubts as to whether I could do it, and perhaps more importantly, whether I could afford it. They immediately responded, "Do it, and we'll figure it out together." So I did, and we have ever since. I couldn't have accomplished all of this without your support. Love you. So arriving to my first day of class as a doctoral student in the urban education program, I didn't really know what to expect. What I found in cohort 7, which was the seventh group of people who'd gone through the program, that began in 2007, were other outsiders like me who wanted to imagine and construct new worlds where we and people like us could fit. Indeed, as I learned in Rebecca Menarlik's class, who's also here, that I took at her class in the last semester of coursework, this has really been the goal of CUNY since the struggles for open admission in the 1960s, to be a place where outsiders can find their place while further developing their knowledge to improve their lives while making the world a better place. And the biggest outsider of all was Jean Anyon, who taught us the power of theory, not for theory's sake, but as a way of imagining the radical possibilities of constructing these new worlds. Someone whose loss we deeply feel still within the urban education community. We were also fortunate to have another outsider, Ophelia Garcia, who just shared some beautiful words about me, come my second year in the program. In my first semester with her, we read proofs of her book, Bilingual Education in the 21st Century, that introduced me to the concept of translanguaging as a way of providing a counter-narrative to the deficit frames that I had been socialized into and even enacted in my own teaching. It not only answered the question that I came into my doctoral work with, but also pointed me to a new vision for education. My first opportunity to enact this vision was as the first project director of CUNY NYSIB, a New York State Education Department-funded grant led by Ophelia along with Ricardo Otegui and Kate Mencken, where we had the opportunity to develop a CUNY-wide network of faculty and students who sought to support New York City schools in enacting a vision of translanguaging. Many people from that network continue to inspire me in my thinking today. So I accept this award not just on behalf of myself, but for all members of the overlapping urban education and CUNY NYSIB communities who not only embraced me, but uplifted me and continue to do so. I also accept it on behalf of all of the people who fought the political struggles, both within and outside of CUNY, that made it possible for people like me to have access to these spaces and to win these awards. I also accept it on behalf of the biggest fighters on my behalf, my husband and my parents. I hope that by winning this award, I not only make you all proud, but help you see that this award is yours too. Thank you.
Make sure I got the right one here. Now I'd like to call back to the stage Michelle Fine, who will be presenting the Gold Award to Puling Sigalo, who was unable to join us in person as she is in South Africa. She has prepared her remarks on video. Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. Jim and Tara told me I'd get paid double if I do 2 of these, and triple because I got Donna and Lynn. If you want to join me, I'll cut you in on the deal. When Steve and Robin first came to the Graduate Center, I said, you've inherited a gold mine of possibilities. And tonight reminds us, whether we're thanking New York City public schools or people in the registrar's office, or Jean Anyon, long gone and still in our hearts, or husbands, or faculty who are no longer here. The Graduate Center is an extraordinary place, and we're all lucky to be here. Puleng Sakalo, who will join us from South Africa, invites us to appreciate the CUNY diaspora in the Global South. Puleng came to our program in critical psychology as a Fulbright scholar from South Africa. Brilliant, gorgeous, you'll see. I'm not just saying that. She was a model before she came, but her mind is as spectacular as every part of her. And she has since been doing incredible work on the narratives of South African women as narrated on embroidery. She worked with an embroidery collective. She's been working on femicide in South Africa, and she and I are now colleagues. I'm also at the University of South Africa. So Puleng Sakalo is a psychologist whose work focuses on global gender inequalities. She draws from visual participatory research methodologies, and she's passionate about mental health and community well-being. In 2023, she was appointed a research fellow at both the University of Kansas African Studies Center and the University of Ghana's Institute for African Studies. She's won several awards. Every time you'll see, I just cry when I see her. She won the University of South Africa's Chancellor Award for Excellence in Research in 2023 and 2021. She won the World Academy of Sciences Regional Award for Public Understanding and Popularization of Science. That is, she knows to whom she is accountable, and she knows her scholarly, policy, and township audiences. She holds all that in her body at once. She won the Women in Science Award as the Distinguished Woman in Science for 2014. She gained membership in the South African Young Academy of Science in 2016. She currently serves as Chief Albert Luthuli Research Chair and Professor of Psychology at the College of Human Sciences at the University of South Africa. We are so pleased to honor the brilliant, our sister, Dr. Puleng Sakalo, and her research that promotes justice and equity with this award.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great humility and an absolute honor that I accept this award tonight. I'm grateful to the Graduate Center for acknowledging and honoring the work we do as the institution's alumni. Thank you for being a space that creates an enabling and nurturing environment for work that takes seriously issues of social justice and knowledge production in the service of humanity. I would like to thank Professor Michelle Fine for planting the seed many years ago and being true to her word that we will grow in scholarship together across oceans. My friends and comrades in this journey, Rachel Liebert, Akemi Nishida, and my dear brother, Denny Govan, I see you and am filled with gratitude for your undying support. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge my family and community of friends and colleagues from here in South Africa and around the world. It is the collective efforts and support that have made tonight possible. Ia leboha. I thank you.
I told you.
Thank you, Michelle. For our final Gold Award, I would like to welcome to the stage Jack Jacobs, who is the Executive Officer of our Political Science Program. Jack?
Thank you, Steve. Dr. Patricia Stapleton's work focuses on government relations and emergent technologies, particularly in the areas of food production and assisted reproductive technologies. These policy questions center around risk perception and regulation of emerging technologies, risk assessment and communication, and the development and evaluation of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Dr. Stapleton currently serves as an Associate Director of the Infrastructure, Immigration, and Security Operations Program of the RAND Homeland Security Research Division, and is also a political scientist at the RAND Corporation. We're delighted to recognize Dr. Stapleton's current cutting-edge scholarship with this award.
I think so. Okay, it's yours. Oh, thank you.
I will very much try to be brief. So many of my own remarks have already been heard from other recipients of the awards tonight. I'm very humbled to be sharing this evening with so many of you, particularly in terms of our experience here at the CUNY Graduate Center, being a first-gen college graduate, as well as a doctoral student. And so I'd really like to spend just a moment to discuss what CUNY meant to me in terms of developing my personal and peer network here. We have several of my colleagues from my cohort in attendance tonight who came out to support both me and Dr. Shauna Brandel, who's also receiving an award this evening. They came and not only for this evening, they showed up for job talks, mock job talks, read over job materials that I submitted, gave me advice when I was on the market, gave me advice when I moved from academia into a non-academic position. They've been there both in terms of professional support and personal support, and I am very grateful for the network that we have developed through the political science department and across other departments here at CUNY. So this award for me tonight is also a recognition of where I am because of that support from my peers. So thank you very much.
Now I have the pleasure of announcing the City University of New York Awards. This award recognizes those alumni who have made important contributions to strengthening the CUNY system. Tonight, we honor 3 recipients. For our first award, I turn back to Jack Jacobs.
Thanks again, Steve. Before I say just a couple of words about the person who we're honoring this evening, please allow me to add that I really genuinely love the remarks that I have been hearing, and that I feel very much part of the same community. I was born and raised in the Bronx in an immigrant community. I'm a product of the New York City public school system. I came up through the ranks to some degree at least, as did all of you. And I think that we're all very much on the same kinds of paths. So thank you all. It's my pleasure to present the CUNY Award to Shauna Brandel. Dr. Brandel's scholarship focuses on media coverage of human rights and refugee issues, and on open educational practices in higher education. In the fall of 2021, Dr. Brandel was a Fulbright Scholar in Kyoto, Japan. Dr. Brandel is the author of television news and human rights in the US and UK, the violations will not be televised, and currently serves as professor of political science at Kingsborough Community College, where Dr. Brandel is also an open education coordinator. Dr. Brandel has written a source book for an Introduction to Government course to help combat the rising costs of college facing CUNY students, and is committed to improving accessibility of resources and to ensuring that educational content reflects the diverse student body at CUNY as a whole. I am once again delighted to recognize Dr. Brandel's commitment to making educational resources accessible with this award. Please come on up. Thank you. Got it? Yes. Okay.
She's heavy. Okay. So I am stunned and honored to be receiving this award. And to make sure I don't forget, I want to thank my family who are watching from home. Hi, guys. Without whom life would be absolutely no fun. So I've been a proud member of the CUNYverse since 2004 and have taught or taken a class at 11 of the 25 CUNY schools in 4 out of the 5 boroughs. Sorry, CSI. I am also the second CUNY generation in my family. My father graduated from Baruch so long ago it was still called Downtown City College, and my father-in-law graduated from Hunter shortly after it became co-ed. To me, CUNY is 2 things: acronyms and people. First, the acronyms. It's like a secret code, and it's definitely not known outside of our system. I've had the honor to explain what CUNY is at several locations throughout the US, as well as in Paris, Delft, and Kyoto, which is an honor and responsibility I do not take lightly. Everybody says CUNY wrong, and they get absolutely lost with the rest of the acronyms. Like tonight, we're here at the GC, and I usually teach at KCC, where I teach PS, sometimes IR, but mostly US, and I do a bunch of OER. When I was at the GC, I was a GTF, an RA, an NTA, a WF, and a TF. I worked at the RBI and the PSS, and since graduating from the GC, I've completed fellowships with FFPP, CAC, CPCP, TLH, and BRESI. I've been funded by the RF and PSC CUNY. I've attended workshops and meetings at 42nd Street. I've been lucky enough to work with the TLC and the DH programs here at the GC, both of which were just started when I was leaving. My CV is a veritable alphabet soup, and if you're in CUNY, I bet yours is too. It's really confusing, but it also bonds us together. If you know, you know, and we definitely know. The other thing about CUNY and the GC is the people. I could go on and on about the world-class faculty, which were great, or the amazing students I've gotten to meet over the last 2 decades. But tonight I'm thinking about the people I met at the GC, the staff and other students, thinkers and fellow travelers, several of whom became colleagues. Shout out to Drs. Corby, Arusi, Steffi, and so many other GC friends who are scattered throughout the CUNYverse. The GC has given me lifelong collaborators and dear friends, and for that I am eternally grateful. One more acronym, our DWG, the Dissertation Writing Group that met at Pinkberry on 32nd Street. They are the only reason I managed to finish and defend my dissertation. And because DWG is forever, the other members are here tonight. Dr. Stapleton, who just accepted her Gold Award, and Dr. Janet Riley, who came to cheer us both on. I would not have made it without the people, and so without these people. And so would not have been able to do even a fraction of the scholarship, teaching, and service I've been lucky enough to get to do across CUNY. I hope to continue to work in CUNY for a long time to come, and I will treasure this award. Thank you very much.
I think you forgot one acronym. Your PhD is kind of important as well. So, For our second award, I would like to welcome back to the stage Michelle Fine for once again.
I've loved all the talks, but I really love that one. This is like Ancestry.com, and I'm so glad you met your sister Puleng in South Africa. I am still not Jeff Moskowski, who should be delivering this award, but I have an amazing pleasure of recognizing my colleague, my friend, my sister, my co-conspirator, Donna A.M. Davis, who's a wonderful exemplar of linking Black feminist scholarship to ethics, to transnational activism, to everyday generosity. Donna's work covers two broad domains: Black feminist ethnography and the dynamics of race and racism. She's the author or co-editor of 5 books. Her most recent is the award-winning book, Reproductive Injustice: Racism, Pregnancy, and Premature Birth. I recommend that you get it tonight. The book examines the ways in which Black women experience racism in medical encounters during preconception, conception, pregnancy, labor, delivery, and postpartum. Relative to her work on reproductive justice, Donna has served as co-chair of NARAL New York, was coordinator of the Reproductive Rights Education Project at Hunter College. She's consulted with the National Network of Abortion Funds. She's currently on the boards of the National Institute for Reproductive Health and Civil Liberties, Public Policy at Hampshire College. She teaches anthropology, she teaches Black feminism. She's director of Women Gender Studies here, both the MA program and the PhD concentration. Donna is a jewel of CUNY. She's a dear friend. I love you. I am so delighted that Jeff's not here. Come on up. We are pleased to recognize Dr. Davis's commitment. Woo! Look what I got for you.
Oh, good.
It's usually a glass of wine I'm passing.
That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You good?
I'm good. Oh, Shauna, I don't know how to follow that. Oops. First of all, I want to say congratulations to everyone who has received and will receive an award. I must say to you all, to the Alumni Association and those of you here, I was very conflicted, not about receiving this award, but what to say. I have a very long history with the CUNY system. My aunt, who would have been 101, went to Hunter when it was something else. My mother taught at Bronx Community College. I think my father went to City College, and I lived down the street from City College when I was growing up in Harlem. So I have this long history with CUNY. Some of it's fraught, but mostly it's full of abundance. To be sure, I experienced profound generosity from the people with whom I work, like Michelle Fine, Jeff Moskowski, who's not here, Ellen, hi Ellen, Ellen DeRiso, with people in critical psychology, anthropology, and the Center for the Study of Women and Society, and I am very grateful. I'm also grateful to my ancestors and to understand why I do what I do, and I'm not going to talk a lot about my research or anything. You have to know who I am, so I'm going to tell you. I am the daughter of John and Lafredia Davis. I am the granddaughter of Angie, Ashley, and Frank Hall. I am the granddaughter of Albert and Corinne Davis. And I am the great-granddaughter of John and Emma Jane Ashley of the Ashley River that flows through Charleston, South Carolina, which tells you who owned my family. I am 4 generations from enslavement, and it is both with pride and horror that I own the land that my great-grandfather purchased from his owner. That is who I come from. And with that, I came to graduate school, knowing a lot about my family, but knowing very little about anthropology. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I had worked in media and nonprofit most of my life. I worked at WNYC TV, Essence Magazine, The Village Voice. Then I shifted into working with health organizations with the Village Centers for Care, Bronx Age Services, and the Reproductive Rights Education Project at Hunter College. And it was at Hunter College, where I also got my MPH, I was encouraged to apply for the anthropology program here. And I was miraculously accepted. I didn't understand why, but I think it might have been because of a letter that Rosalind Pacheski wrote for me. And she just really motivated me thinking about reproductive health. When I arrived here, I was a single mom of a 13-year-old. I had little use for Foucault, but I read him anyway. Foucault does not help you understand 13-year-old anxieties. I became a graduate student in the fullest sense of the word, and I was the graduate student of Leith Mullings, Ida Susser, and Shirley Lindenbaum. My cohort was spectacular. It was mostly people of color. Many of us were activists, and we moved through our program with grace and purpose because almost everyone in my cohort had the same advisor, Leith Mullings. From her, we learned how to be academics making a difference in the world. We learned that being an academic with political commitments was not a contradiction. We held each other up through breakups, children being born, family drama, fear, and our second exam. It was beautiful, we were beautiful. We were a community of grad students who still call on each other. And I'm going to just say the names of some of them: Raymond Codrington, Melanie Bush, Tracy Fisher, and Ana Aparicio. And that kind of community that we had back then, I think, exists in many ways here. This was and is, for me, a home place. And so I share all of this to say that whatever I did to deserve this award is entirely because of the people in my life who have walked with me and held me up. And I really only hope that my arms are long enough to hold out my hand and reach those who want it. To my students, Katya, hi Katya, former students who are now in PhD programs, my colleagues, my friends, and the people who clean this place up after we go who I do not know, I thank you. And I thank my sister friend Lynn Roberts, who came. And so, on with it.
Thank you, Donna. For our final CUNY Award, I would like to introduce Tanya Agathoklios, who serves as Interim Co-Executive Officer of the English PhD program. Tanya?
Hi. I'm extremely honored to have been asked to present this CUNY Award to Dr. Caroline Chamberlain-Hellman. As we've been hearing tonight, CUNY is a special place, and CUNY graduate students are and continue to be wonderful, brilliant people after they leave here. I'm particularly grateful to those who graduate from CUNY and go on to work for CUNY, and particularly for higher education more generally. Caroline Hellman is one of those people. She oversees the Office of Communications at City Tech, providing strategic vision and cultivating a sense of belonging and connection for the current and extended college community. She works for the Office of the President, remaining abreast of initiatives and outcomes within the broader context of higher education, and she has served as professor in the City Tech English department, and also in 2011 as a Fulbright Scholar in American Literature at the University of Antwerp. She has published extensively in US literature and has been a steadfast advocate for developmental education reform and has co-founded the CUNY Writing Discipline Council. A 2021-2022 CUNY Leadership Institute Fellow, she has an abiding interest in equity, access, and retention in public higher education. We're pleased to recognize Dr. Hellman's commitment to advancing CUNY within the national higher education landscape with this award.
Thank you so much. During my first semester at the Graduate Center, I had the privilege of taking a class titled Transcendentalisms and Its Contexts with David S. Reynolds, author of Beneath the American Renaissance, The Subversive Imagination in the Age of Emerson and Melville. The same semester, I sat in Robert Reed Farr's seminar on Baldwin Wright and Ellison. Reed Farr commented on my seminar paper to take more risks in my writing, and I vividly remember at the time requesting specific direction on how to take more risks and what risks I should be taking, very much belying the idea that he was trying to impart to me. Nevertheless, I appreciated that he saw great potential in what I was trying to do in my project and what he termed, I think at the time, the Afro-Asiatic nexus. His understanding of what I was attempting to accomplish was far ahead of my own conception. But looking back, beginning to germinate in that very first semester of coursework and exposure to cutting-edge literary and cultural critics and criticism, and professorial guidance, not to mention provocative and nourishing interactions with peers. And I know many of the honorees spoke to the very unusual sense of community at the Graduate Center, were the early strains of what would become my second book, Children of the Raven and the Whale, which looks at how contemporary multi-ethnic writers of the United States have responded to 19th and 20th century texts historically central to the American literary canon. And the Graduate Center English program really equipped me to write about those texts. Also informing that scholarship are the students of the City University of New York. And an equally integral, transformative component of the Graduate Center degree entailed teaching at the CUNY campuses. It was really here that I determined that I wanted to devote my career to public education. Time spent in classrooms at John Jay College, City College, and City Tech revolutionized my understanding of higher education, ideas of equity, meritocracy, and the children of the people, the whole people, who pursue degrees in these spaces. So thank you to the Graduate Center for the integral role it plays in both serving and historicizing this crucial mission, serving as the gateway to the CUNY undergraduate campuses across the 5 boroughs, nurturing a culture of democracy, discourse, public exchange, and engagement. As alumni, and particularly for those of us still at CUNY today, I think we bear a collective responsibility to continue to tell CUNY's story, the story of public higher education. And to this end, and by way of conclusion, I'd like to share a brief video I worked on with current extraordinary City Tech students and colleagues this semester. Thank you.
If you didn't know what CUNY was, if you didn't know what the Grad Center was before this evening, I think you got it tonight. I mean, I think Jack said he was touched by this. I felt the same thing. I think I've been here 2 years. I think I finally understand what CUNY is about and what the Grad Center does. When you see the kind of, it's not the way that you talked about what it does, but it's how the impact that you're making in your lives. To know that we're implanting something in you that you're carrying with you from your sometimes first rough, New York kind of lifestyle that you've lived in. You're taking that out into the world from LA to Florida to everywhere. And you really are showing this is a distinctive place. And I think what you heard tonight, you don't hear it at other colleges that I've been at. This is really wonderful to sort of hear all this. Thank you all for coming and joining us tonight. Thank you for the faculty who came to support all of you tonight. I really do appreciate it. And I would ask all the awardees, if you will, when we leave to go to the reception, if you will join in the back to get your picture made all together, so we have a great memory of this. So now, please join us for the reception. Thank you all again for this evening.